You gotta be a little odd to ride a little bit of an odd machine. The Rokon is a one-of-a-kind vehicle.
And they're the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles.
There's absolutely nothing else like these on the market, or has been for the 50 years that Rokon has built them.
They're hard to stop. Logs, ravines, it'll get you where you've got to be.
It is absolutely amazing how this thing can take you up the steepest hill. There's no better feeling than climbing a hill with this thing.
Both wheels drive. It's like having half a Jeep. So you got a front wheel that's pulling you and a rear wheel that's pushing. We call it a mechanized mountain goat. It's amazing what the machine will do.
I ride out where the trails all end, and I know I'll get there and back again on my Rokon, my Rokon, my Rokon, my best friend.
They're all good friends, but we live in the four corners of the United States, so we don't see each other that often.
We got together 4 guys that really understood the machinery of this bike.
Honestly, I got the best team I possibly could to put the thing together.
The interest in these things has exploded. It is a little niche, but that snowball is rolling. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's sucking more people in. I don't know if there's enough bikes to go around, I mean, especially the older bikes.
Hey,
Orla. All right. Hey, how you doing? Look what David got.
I think it's a miracle to find one. There's can't be more than a dozen of them left, and in all likelihood, you might as well look under rocks. The chances are just as good of you finding one.
It's truly different, and it's pretty much the first of its kind. This is a Mark I. What really interested me in this bike was after I had read the Charlie Fain's patent, was I realized that the Mark I was the closest example to his original design.
let's get it out. I want to see it.
Yeah, no one ever did any work on it. Well,
This is like Christmas for old men.
let me go get this barrel. We can
Who are you
chuck it on
calling
top.
old?
No, you do not restore a bike in 72 hours. Typically, this would take a year minimum.
Yeah, he's got issues. He really does.
Before I even tear it apart, if I can get it running and mechanically functional first, I'm way ahead of the game because now it's just the cosmetics. It's a beauty. It's got a little rust, you know.
You really think you can restore this
Yeah,
bike?
yeah, no problem. The original Mark I engine was extremely difficult to find in the United States since it had been built in Germany. Well, we got a muffler, but we don't have an engine. That miter box is stuck solid. We're going to have to take all that stuff apart. Of course, they're in German, but I have all the manuals for the engines right here. Dated 1963 or so. The transmission was free and the fluid drive clutch was working when I picked it up. I mean, this tire is 50 years old and you can still use it. It's still holding air.
It's amazing.
I think it's important to remember that the era that Charlie Fenn was developing all this too. You know, I mean, it was post-war. There was all, you know, it was a different time. The goal is just to get it up and running while we're all here in one spot, to bring the thing from a non-functional, basically rusty frame and wheels to a functional piece. Pretty much start off just by locating all the parts and mocking up what would fit and what wouldn't fit. These old things, you know, they were virtually hand-built when they were built in the first place, and now 50 years on, parts are scattered about and unavailable. You know, it's not something you go down to AutoZone and get parts for, so it's a process.
Everybody's got a little niche, and I guess my little niche is kind of cleaning up some of the old ones. I guess I'm old and they just kind of fit with me. There's still a few parts he needs, and the gas tank's got rust holes in it, so he needs to solder those up. Oh yeah, I see the other side. But as soon as he gets a few more parts, he'll have it made. He'll be riding that sucker all up down the side of these hills.
Transmission came from England, the seat came from Italy. Carburetor either came from Toledo, Ohio, or somewhere in Ireland. Basically, they just used parts wherever they could find them and put them together. And then you bought the company and got rid of a lot of the parts and found them somewhere else. You need a quarter-inch nut driver for them.
I saw an ad in a Popular Mechanics of '63. I took one look at that and I said, I've got to have one of those.
Is that half-inch or 7/16 wrench?
Put it back up on the barrel.
I was so impressed by it, I got a dealership and then became a distributor. And that machine really impressed me. At that time, Nethercutt was having some problems, not with the machine, but internally, etc. And they called me up and they said, would I be interested in buying the company? Well, I said, yes, I would, but I'd come out and have a look at it, find out what's happening. And the rest is almost history.
We're here near Albany, Georgia, and this is a family-owned plantation that goes pretty far back. My dad bought it in 1919. It's called Mud Creek Plantation. These big oaks go back about 400 years. It's about 1,000 acres. It's kind of a wildlife ranching operation. I've had these animals here for over 20 years. And I have to keep a close look on them. I have to take very good care of them, and eventually they'll be in one of my ecological parks. The dominant bull right here, if you'll notice, has a swollen neck. You see that in signal fires up in New York City occasionally. Hey, Guy, would you stop walking in front of the camera? I'm working with the animals and believe very strongly that eventually this park in Albany, Georgia, will be kind of a place that reconnects families and children with the natural world. On Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, I saw the value of having a Rokon over there in various countries. It is fun to ride with them, I must admit. In fact, I traded in one of my older Rokons for a new red one. I have a lot of good memories about the Rokon. In Peru, we were tracking condors that we had placed radio transmitters on their backs, and we could track those with an antenna with the Rokon going up in the mountains, very successful. There were some people that thought that I had come from outer space because they'd never seen anything like that before. I could get around there real well with them because the cobblestone beaches there were very hard to walk on. I've used the Rokon to get around here quite a bit. If I want to enclose an area for animals, I can always find the fence lines with it. It's not very good for bird watching because it's a little noisy for that, but for going back to remote areas, pretty hard to beat. One of passions is designing new kinds of parks. They're wildlife parks, and they combine adventure with education. All these places I use a Rokon to get around in because I can move through slowly, I can stop, look at the situation, I can examine rocks, creeks, where the big trees are, and do it without hurting the habitat. The Rokon doesn't leave much of a footprint on the soil. That's one of the big advantages. Well, some of my best memories with the Rokon were probably took part in South Africa, studying the Cape Mountain zebra, which is one of the rarest animals in Africa. And the only way you could get up there into that country where it was with something like a Rokon. You couldn't take a four-wheel drive. It was much too rocky. That came in very handy on that particular trip because I was the only person that could get up the mountains and bring them down. The Rokon I've used probably on 6 or 7 different projects. I've used that vehicle extensively just to get around through areas that are even difficult to walk through. They've been pretty much a workhorse rather than just riding for fun. I've actually had an opportunity to be in almost every continent in the world, and if I start moving around again now that I have a new knee, I'm going to make sure I have a Rokon with me because they're good insurance to get around on.
I went looking for a place to hide.
Bike like Dave's, it might take 6 months, it might take a year, you know, to find all the parts. Some parts you have to make.
Yeah.
Ride that thing.
You know where the bolts are? Oh, that's a thing of beauty. Look at that.
How your fingers feel after the heat treatment?
I lost feeling in them 20 years ago, so I don't feel it at all.
All right, now we need a carburetor, boys. What are we gonna do for that?
We needed a carburetor for the bike. I didn't have one laying around, so I decided to steal the carburetor off my 1962 chainsaw, which is the same year as the bike.
That's the same carburetor.
Yeah, that should fit right in there.
Okay, let her go.
Well, this is gonna get old pretty quick. I couldn't start it.
Yeah, when the old man needs help, he calls in the son.
So he comes in and says he can start it. Yep, throttle's on. Whoa, okay.
Whoa,
compression
Get
release
your foot on that tight.
Compression release on.
Wow.
He started it, so I'll never hear the end of that. Yeah, I think the carburetor is going to have to go upside down.
What's that guy do for you?
Try it. Set it in there. I got to get this. I need an 1/8" Allen wrench first.
Frankensteined it onto the Elo motor in the Mark I and got it functioning, running that way.
Now, once this exhaust is on, we can't put it back on the barrel, so let's think long and hard before you pull it off. What else are we missing that we really
long and
want?
hard, I wouldn't have come here.
Yeah. Now there's chains and crap to get caught in, so. Okay, kickstand down.
Kickstand down.
I knew I had compression and spark. The carburetor was working. For every reason, it should have started. I was really happy it fired over that quick. It's always a thrill, though, to get a 50-year-old engine, in that case a 54-year-old engine, cranked over for the first time in probably 30 years.
Gravity is still in effect here in Pennsylvania, it turns out. The bike runs good downhill and stops running coming back up the hill. Just standing there looking at each other like a couple of dumbasses. We couldn't get liquid to flow uphill when the bike was going uphill. Want to point it downhill?
Oh, ran for a little bit.
It's wild and wonderful, as they say. This is 300 acres of pure West Virginia holler that you cannot imagine how beautiful it is up on those ridges.
First time down here with all the fine mud and sticks of West Virginia.
Mud holes, hills, ravines, gullies. There's everything here.
There's always a little crook or cranny or something that you've not been to.
It's hard to get a place to you all can get together and ride virtually unrestricted.
It's a perfect place for Rokons. Beautiful camping. The camaraderie is out of this world.
Dale Carn from Ohio.
There's been people come from everywhere and use their vacation, you know, to camp and visit and play and just mess with these old bikes.
It's a really fun event. It's like a family reunion or something.
That's the main reason we have these things, people. We've all met on the internet because of these silly little bikes.
I drove from Orlando, so I'm thinking, seize the day, right? Anybody that's interested in these Rokons are pretty interesting people.
We may not see eye to eye politically or anything else, but we do see eye to eye on these things.
Being here is like Shangri-La. It's just like camaraderie, brotherhood, whatever you want to call it.
I remember the first romp we had was in 1969 in Massachusetts. Then I didn't go to another one until 2000 up in Applegate, Oregon. And the boys, they wanted me out here so badly all these years. And now I get to put a face to all these names. It's a ball.
We're heading out to the place called the Razorback. A lot of rocks in it, real snotty and narrow. Come out of the rocks, then it's straight uphill. Yesterday was my first time riding it, but my buddy Chip here, he's been out here a bunch of times. He could probably tell you the terrain a little better.
Narrow and steep, potentially scary. We've had a few guys go off of that. It's not going to improve your day at all, falling off of that thing, so.
What do you think looks good, taking off, going up through there?
Up that rock right there, that flat
Okay,
rock.
I'm going to give you a couple pointers. Once you start spinning, you're done. Just keep your balance going, keep your feet out, keep your balance. All right, you can make it right up there. Okay, all set, bud? Go for it. Keep going, bud. Yes, sir. Newbie. Well, it's actually his second day on a Rokon, period. So I'm pretty proud of him.
The motorcycle has the ability to do anything that the driver is capable of.
It's go anywhere capability. You can't climb up this on a regular dirt bike. A four-wheeler won't fit between the trees.
The bike is remarkable for its ability to do, and it's simple, reliable, easy to maintain, absolutely goes anywhere, made in America. Rokon is the true all-terrain vehicle. Between these guys, if anything would happen to this bike, it could roll over the cliff and break apart, and they could have it running this evening.
They're all willing to share their expertise and give advice and help people out. This is my first time down to the hauler. I've been here all week so far. I've learned a bunch from the really old buffer guys that lurk around here. It's amazing what these can do.
They're unique. They have a lot more moving parts than a normal bike. You have to be smarter than the average hammer.
I'm leaving here a smarter man than I came, I'll tell you that. Both what the machine can do and how I can ride it, what I should fix, how I should fix it, and 5 different versions, and they're all right.
All of us enjoy the wrenching as much as the riding, and I myself probably enjoy the wrenching more than the riding.
From where the bike is now, forward, mechanically it's pretty close.
This one sure looks good.
There's a lot of time into that.
A lot of time, a lot of work in that.
Looks like it still fits good.
They knew the bike as well as they almost knew themselves and one another. They worked together like fingers fitting like this or your hand going into a glove.
Why don't we, we can get out Milo's finished Mark 1, we can get out my finished Mark 1 and compare them. It was phenomenal. We had it running and rideable in 3 days.
Hey, that feels good.
Ready to go.
Yeah, you're down on the frame.
Can you make the vroom vroom noise?
Vroom, vroom. Put that 50-year-old machine together. That's pretty amazing. I take my hat off to him.
I knew it was going to run if Dave was fooling with it. If it hadn't been for Dave, I'd still be sitting on a rock somewhere trying to figure out what the heck do I do next.
What we did in 72 hours would take me 2 to 3 months. It was phenomenal. We had it running and rideable in 3 days.